concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. It is Sunday afternoon, and it's time to do the Q&A. You got the Q? I got the A. At least that's what my wife tells me. Oh. Oh, there we go. All that setting up I did of the camera before the stream was for nothing. I was on the wrong preset. Oh, yeah, it's daylight savings, guys. If the stream sounds, if you think the stream is an hour early, it's because daylight saving. USA has switched to summertime. If you're in Europe, you'll catch up, I think, in just a couple weeks. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Ghost Branch in the Discord is a moderator today because he is helping to arrange Velocidrone combat. So stick around or come back around 3 o'clock. Ghost Branch, where's that link? We are going to be playing Velocidrone combat. We played last week. Just there's a link in the chat. We played last week, just us on my Discord server. We were supposed to have a showdown with Ciati and the guys on Ciati's server, but he had to back out. He had something come up and had to back out. So hopefully we're going to do it this week. Hopefully he is still on. In case you don't know, Velocidrone Combat it's like a first-person shooter, but you play it with FPV drones and shoot each other out of the air. Pretty fun. We'll be doing that around 3 o'clock, a little after 3 o'clock this afternoon after this stream ends, during Ciati's normal normal time slot. But I am going to be answering your questions during this stream. Check it out. This is my main screen where I'm monitoring everything you say here in the YouTube chat. Welcome. Daylight saving time is a lie. I agree. Daylight saving time can bite it. Summertime all the time. That's my preference. Yeah, I'll be watching your chats here and chatting with you guys, answering questions. Do I have any info about the lack of stock of V2 goggles? Bruno Oliveira. So see right there, there's a question. No specific information, dude, but like the whole world is undergoing a chip shortage right now. Graphics cards, even automobile manufacturers are suffering from inability to get the microchips that they need. So you presumably that has something to do with it. I don't know. That's all I got. Nick from the Netherlands wants to know about my Discord server. Nick, Discord server is available to patrons. It's one of the few things I reserve for the beautiful people who pay me a couple bucks a month. In case you don't know, this is the Discord server right here. How did I get so fly? Asks Cyclimbo. Just years of practice. I didn't used to be fly. In fact, I'll show you how fly I wasn't in just a second. The Discord server, these beautiful people here, they just look at all these resources on the Discord server. There's tuning, troubleshooting, channels about DJI, FreeSky, Crossfire. Look at all those unread messages. Sorry guys. About 3,000 users on this Discord server, and you can hang out with them if you just join my Patreon down in the link below in the video description. Basically, it's a service where you can subscribe to me for a couple bucks a month. You can pay my rent, and you could my undying appreciation, of course, but also you get to hang out with these beautiful people. Uh-oh, you're on the chat. Don't nobody say the F word. No, seriously. No gratuitous GIFs being posted. I do say GIF, by the way. I do not say GIF. One more thing to say, if you want to make sure I get to your question, because look at all these messages I missed. If you want to make sure I get to your question, hit the $ right down here. That's the super chat. It'll pull your question out into a separate window like this one from LCVFPV. Thank you for $5. I've really been enjoying your late night email answering streams. I hope you keep them up. And I will definitely read it out. If you want to shout out, so often somebody asks. So I had somebody ask me, hey, can you shout me out in one of your videos? I don't really like to, I like to, But I do record birthday messages sometimes. Now I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that because now I'm going to get a lot more requests. Every so often somebody says, hey, my boyfriend / husband really likes you. It's never their wife, interestingly. Oh, well. They say, hey, my boyfriend / husband really likes you, and it's his birthday's coming up. It would be really cool if you could shout him out. So every so often, I'll just real quick put up a birthday message to these guys and hopefully make their day. Just a little thing I could do. But if you do want a shout out, that's how to get it. I say, I'm not going to shout you out in a video, but just leave a super chat during a live stream. I'll pretty much say whatever you want. Not anything. I will draw the line somewhere. But so let's get going. One more little announcement. I did say GIF. That's right. I said GIF. You let's go. Fight me. It's GIF. One more little announcement. There will not be a live stream Sunday next week, the 28th. I believe I've pulled it off the schedule. If you go look at my channel, I believe there's no. The reason for that is that I am going to the very first private test screening of the Flow State documentary. The Flow State, the FPV drone documentary. In fact, there's a new teaser trailer, just a 1-minute trailer. Let's watch that. I'm gonna go watch. We're having it's invitation only. I'm sorry, it's not ready. It's not ready yet. I know you're excited. It's not ready for a public screening yet. But there is a cut that we want to show to a few people, and then they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, it was really good, but this one section really sucked," and then we're gonna fix it and make it better, right? But I will be in Asheville next Tuesday, and so I will not be live streaming. Where's that trailer? Hello from Anfield, Liverpool, John Aerosmith. People from England, people from the UK have such cool names. Aerosmith. What a great name. John Aerosmith. If you don't make, let me tell you, John, if you're just like an IT admin, you quit your job and you go start making arrows. John Aerosmith. Why is it Aerosmith and not Fletcher? What's the difference between an Aerosmith and a Fletcher? Does the Fletcher do the feathers and the Smith does the heads? Now I want to know. John Aerosmith. So here's a little. I will be getting to your questions. Don't worry. I will be getting to them soon. But let's just real quick take a look. 1 minute trailer.
Since you're little, you dream of flying. Basically, that's the feeling FPV gives you.
If you're prone to motion sickness, you might want to grab a barf bag, because it's about to get wild.
Can't describe it other than being in a state of flow, and it's an addictive state to be in.
We all love this hobby, and it's under threat, and we got to do something about it.
Do you want to see that film? Me too. That's why I'm not live streaming next weekend. I'll put a link to that in the chat, and you can share it with all your friends and relatives. Oh, shh. There's also a 5-minute teaser as well. But LCV FPV hopes we make a DVD out of this. Do people still make DVDs? Is that a thing? Addo60 wants to know if my parallel charge board is available in EU countries. It is entirely up to the wholesaler, the dealer, to import it. They have in the past imported them. I don't know at the moment if anyone has stock of them. The best thing to do would be to ask Ready-Made RC. Ready-Made RC is the manufacturer. And if you email Ready-Made RC support, probably they'll be able to tell you, hey, we've sold them to so-and-so in the EU. Any talk of the Flow State film being on Netflix, asks Clint Chapman. I mean, that's our ultimate goal. James Christensen, I got to talking to him at a whoop race here in Knoxville over a year ago. And we talked about various things. He's just a really interesting guy. He's done so many things in his life. He's an expert at 3D printing and CAD design. That's what we first started talking about. And I started talking about my dream to make a film about FPV. And he is actually a documentary filmmaker. He has had a documentary on Netflix before. And I was like, wow, that's you just make a film and then you get it on Netflix? And he's like, yeah, here's what you do. You do this, you do this, you do this. He listed off 10 steps. And then at the end, if everything goes well, it gets picked up. So that is our goal. Obviously, Netflix would be great. We would love to, I say we, I don't mean to speak for him, but I mean, I'd love to see it on Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever, whoever wants to pick it up and pay us to distribute it would be great. The next, once it gets into a finished state, the next thing that needs to happen is going to be shown and premiered at film festivals. He says that's how you do it. You make the film. When the film is ready, you show it at festivals and you win some awards at festivals. And then once you've got a couple, some festival awards to put on the movie poster, then you start shopping it around to, Netflix, Amazon, etc., and try and get them to pick it up. So that's our goal for this spring. I say spring. It is technically spring as of yesterday, spring, summer. So theoretically, if we show it at festivals this year, then perhaps it could be in Netflix, Amazon, whatever streaming services, maybe by the end of the year. I don't really know what a realistic time frame is, but that would be super exciting, wouldn't it? Mike Bergman says, you really need all that for Netflix to pick it up? I don't know, Mike, but I know that James has had a film on Netflix before, and he says, here's what you do. So maybe it's just that you have a better negotiating position if the film has some accolades. I don't know. Anyway, but I obviously can't wait to do a public screening. Technically, you're not allowed to do so. What he says is that if it has been premiered to the public before, then the festivals don't want it. And what he said is that you can have showings that are invitation-only private showings, but you can't like just put it in a theater and sell tickets to the public. So what we would like to do, I would like to do, is like have showings in, like Atlanta would be an obvious choice because Atlanta is such a central city for the FPV community. And maybe other cities, like rent a theater and put out an invitation like on, Facebook groups and so forth, and show it to you guys in a bigger theater. But for now, that's all, in the future. But a few lucky people are going to get to see it next weekend in Asheville and tell us how to make it better, hopefully. So no live stream next Sunday. That's my point. What would cause stack screws to heat up? Let's do some Q&A now. What would cause stack screws to heat up? D-Shank FPV asks. Stack screws heating up means current is flowing through the stack screws. So the frame of the quadcopter is usually getting continuity to ground through some path. It could be the SMA connector on the video antenna, which is grounded. It could be the case of the camera could be grounded. There are many different ways that the frame of the quadcopter gets grounded. So anytime then you have positive voltage contacting the frame, you'll get current flow through the frame. Sometimes that will result in smoke and fire, but oftentimes the resistance of the frame itself is enough that you don't get smoke and fire, you just get heat. A lot of times on some ESCs, I say a lot of times, it actually isn't very often, but it's more than it should be. Sometimes on a 4-in-1 ESC, the mounting holes are positive. They have continuity to positive, and they shouldn't. That's stupid. No one who designs an ESC should ever do this. And if you do this, then F you. That's not, why would you do that? But if you've mounted the ESC with metal screws and the ESC has positive continuity on the mounting holes, then that would explain why your stack screws are heating up. Try using nylon stack nuts and see if that fixes it. Motor screws touching windings could also do it crunked. Although motor screws touching windings, I would expect that to heat up the motor screws because the motor screws are carrying the current. But I'm not sure how that would heat up the stack screws, but I guess anything can happen. There's also a Holybro ESC, as 507RC points out, a Holybro ESC where the stack screws are connected to one of the motor poles. So it's not VBAT plus, but they do get hot. So that's what I would do. Try nylon stack screws, and if that fixes it, it probably is your ESC. Yeah. Hello, Nick Sebring, working on a Sunday. I don't know if you can hear the birds outside, but I got my window open because it is a beautiful freaking day today, and I cannot bear. I mean, I'm here with you. The temptation to take Sunday afternoons off and do something else is real, but I'm here with you. But I do have my window open, so. Some people in the chat are talking about the inability to buy the SkyZone Cobra goggles in the USA. Yeah, the reason for that, and let's see, Chris P says, is there an issue with the SkyZone Cobra X? The Fat Shark believes that the SkyZone Cobra goggles are violating one of their patents, and Fat Shark has sent messages to, well, at least Banggood, and said, we believe that this goggle is violating our patents. Banggood has decided to take the goggle out of sale in the United States. You cannot buy the Skyzone Cobra goggles from Banggood into the USA. From other countries where the patent is a USA patent, you can still buy them from EU and Asia and so forth, but not in the USA. Now I don't know if anybody is carrying anybody else. Sky, let's check race day quads, for example. Now they have them. Skyzone Cobra. Are they in stock? Yeah, so if you're in the USA, don't buy them from Banggood. Buy them from Race Day Quads or Get Up PV, if Get Up PV has them. I don't know if they do. Or Pyrodrone. You know? Yeah, so oh no, Banggood. Oh, they're back ordered. Well, they may never come into stock, but they are in stock at Race Day Quads. Oh no, Banggood won't sell the goggles to you. So buy them from Race Day Quads and get them in 2 days and be able to exchange them if you have an actual problem and so on. But yeah, that's a patent dispute. So is the patent valid? Who knows? Banggood cares about patents? I would not have expected that. Well, 507RC, Banggood cares about, I assume Banggood cares about money. Like, you remember when Banggood also refused to carry Jumper? Because Free Sky pitched a fit about Jumper? If you are a big enough gorilla who makes them enough money, they will listen to you. Now, I'm actually kind of surprised that Fat Shark has enough pull with Banggood to get Banggood to shaft Skyzone. It feels to me like Skyzone is... It feels to me like between Fat Shark and Skyzone, Banggood would take Skyzone's side. That's just my gut read on it, but obviously that's not how it played out. I don't think Banggood cares about patents. I just don't. But for whatever reason, in this case, they have agreed to Fat Shark's point, and they don't sell the Cobra into the USA. How about that? Bannister Post in the Discord got cocky and flew close to Scraggle and water. Ouch. Recovered the quad, unplugged it underwater, let it dry. Everything's working so far. Anything else you would check or do after relying on the quad again, or just send it? Yeah, I mean, anytime something's been underwater, it's risky. One thing that you could have done, it's too late now, but if you've got a quad that's been underwater, unplug it underwater is good advice. I'm not exactly sure why, but I've heard it enough times, and I don't think it could possibly hurt. So you may as well unplug it underwater. Then as it comes out of the water, especially if it's salt water, but also if it's fresh water, you could rinse it with distilled water or alcohol. And because what can happen is you can get some corrosion. The water itself will dry off, but you can still get some corrosion. And rinsing from like the minerals in the water, I don't know. Deposits, mineral deposits. But rinsing it in distilled water or alcohol is a good thing to do. I don't think it matters once it dries out. Not sure. Would you trust that quad again after it's been underwater? I mean, I would definitely get a couple packs on it, more than a few packs on it, to see if it was going to betray me before I like flew it over people's heads. Yeah. Mike Bergman says, Fat Shark pulled that on Banggood? Kind of shady. I mean, Mike, my take on it is if Fat Shark legitimately has a patent and they believe that Cobra is violating their patent, they have every right to defend their patent. I always say, like TBS is like, so-and-so is cloning us. And I say, you know what? If you've got something that's so original, then patent it. And people say, patents are expensive. Patents are hard to get. And I'm like, okay, don't patent it then. It's not worth the money. Okay, don't patent it then. Like but my point is, if you have a patent, if you went to all the trouble of getting a patent, you have every right to defend your patent, by all means. So if in fact Fat Shark has a patent, and if in fact Skyzone is violating the patent, I'm on Fat Shark's side here. Skyzone shouldn't violate the patent. Like, a patent is such a high bar. It is so hard and so expensive to get a patent that by the time someone does go get it, I kind of gotta be on their side. Unless there are some bullshit patents out there, don't get me wrong, but they have a patent. So, MK is correct. MK, thank you for pointing out water corrosion takes time. So if it works immediately after, doesn't mean it's fine after a week or two. You're 100% right, MK. And that's why I say you take the quad out of the water, you dry it off for 2 days in front of a fan or in a rice bath or whatever. After you're sure it's thoroughly dry, you fly it, and it flies fine. 2 weeks from now, it's going to fall out of the air, though. Because as MK points out, water corrosion takes time. So definitely don't trust the quad just because it flies okay 3 days after being in the water. Give it time to betray you. Yeah. And maybe it won't, but maybe it will. It wouldn't hurt you, Bannister Post, to go over it with alcohol, even though it has now been a couple days and dried out. The point of the alcohol is to sort of like rinse away the sediment and deposits and the minerals that cause the corrosion. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the chat, like pure distilled water won't cause corrosion. Is that right? It's like the minerals in the water that result in electrolysis that causes corrosion. I'm kind of just spitting buzzwords here. So I think if your goal is that while it's still wet, before the water dries and leaves the minerals, that you're going to want to rinse the water away with alcohol. And the alcohol will also, as Mike Bergman points out, displace the water. But I don't think it could hurt you to clean it with alcohol now, even though it's dried off. The chat says I'm correct. It's good enough for me. Pure distilled water is non-conductive and acts as a flush. Yeah. Yeah, normal water is if you were, let's say you were in lake water, and then you rinse it with tap water. That's actually not that much better. Like, you're rinsing away the dirt, but the tap water probably still has minerals in it that could cause problems. Pure distilled water is fine. It's electrically neutral and inert. But alcohol is the best, because the alcohol will get the water out of there too. DB says distilled water is corrosive. It'll leach all kinds of stuff. That's interesting. It'll leach stuff. Rinsed with... I had one that fell in a river and it flew. Then I rinsed it with alcohol and cleaned it with a toothbrush, and then it stopped working. Okay. Joey Whitaker cleans mainboards and keyboards in the dishwasher, for crying out loud. Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with that. I mean, water does cause corrosion. That's a fact. Under some circumstances. Yeah. What drone do you have behind you on the table? Asks Niels Bouganger. This little guy? Why, this is my Mr. Steel Impulse RC Apex that I took the kiss out of, and I put the FETTech in, and I put the DJI in it too, and basically just ruined it. I took all of Mr. Steel's amazing design and tech testing and just like put DJI in it and was like, ah. I think I'm going to get Crunked to help me tune it and see what that does to it. What tune is on that? Crunked! You know what tune it is. It's the Crunked Golden Preset. It was okay. I mean, any generic preset is only going to be so good. It didn't knock my socks off. It was a good tune. It was a good, safe tune, which I think is what the Golden Preset is supposed to be. My point is this. It sounds like I'm trying to put a slam on, and I'm not. To come up with a good generic preset that works on a wide range of quads is actually super difficult, because there's always one outlier that then flies like crap. So no slam on the Golden Preset. The goal of something like the Golden Preset is to have something that flies pretty good for everybody. But the reason I say it flew okay is I want to see if it can fly better, because obviously Mr. Steel's setup with Mr. Steel's tune flies, and now I've put DJI on it, and I'm wondering, and now it flies okay, but it doesn't fly. So I'm kind of wondering, if I were to have a really good tune on it, would it fly good again? Or is the latency of the DJI just going to like suck the out of my... I don't know. Is it true, asks Mr. JRC, if you go digital, you don't go back anymore? So look, let's think about Mr. Seal because we're talking about him. He resisted DJI for the longest time. Later, he saw, so DJI improved, true, and I think his perspective softened a little bit. There was a moment when he did his beginner guide. He did his, beginner intro to FPV, and he said beginners shouldn't use DJI; they should use analog. And the comments were very, very negative. They were like, this guy's out of touch. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I can't say for sure, but if it were me, if I say something and I get a really strong response from a whole bunch of people who disagree with me, I feel like on some level you have to go back and say, am I the one who's wrong here? Obviously, sometimes you just have a strong opinion that goes against the grain. But I feel like that probably because shortly thereafter he gave DJI another shot, and he came around to saying there are some places where DJI makes a lot of sense and is good. And right now, and the other thing that I think he felt some pressure is professionals and professional shoots now, commercials, movies, they're all done with DJI. Because with the DJI system, you can have HDMI out from the smart controller, and the director or the director of photography can be watching you in high def while you fly. And there's just no question that is better than analog. Everyone who isn't an FPV pilot who looks at analog video barfs and says, is this what it really looks like? And then they never want to see it again. So as a professional, I think Steele felt the pressure there. And I think when he put out that beginner guide, I think he felt some pressure from the people. And to his credit, I mean, a lot of people would have not changed their mind. They would have stuck to their guns and gone down in flames, died on that hill, if you will. And he's like, oh, well, no, let's give it a fair shot. And he did. Here's my point. The original question was, once you go digital, do you go back? Steele flies analog. He still prefers analog for freestyle. And the latency of analog really suits somebody with a really twitch style like him. He does things on analog that he couldn't have the reaction time to do on digital. But he flies digital for professional and for other uses. A lot of people, though, don't have the reflexes to do the things Steele does anyway. So the additional latency of DJI doesn't really hold them back in that way. And the image quality is amazing. It's just amazing. And the analogy I like to make is, people my age, do you remember when DVDs first came out and you were seeing actual like high definition video instead of crappy broadcast video? Or do you remember the switch from standard definition to high definition television? Kids, you might not. Or maybe kids, when you got your first 4K television instead of a 1080 television. Like, as soon as your brain gets used to the high quality image, the old image just looks so much worse. So a lot of people do go DJI and never look back. I still fly both. DVD is not high def. Steve Scott, you're right. DVDs are 480p. You're absolutely right about that. Nevertheless, DVDs looked so much better than broadcast television. So much better. Anyway. So, yeah, I would say there is some truth to the statement that once you go DJI, you don't go back to analog. That happens to a lot of people, not to everybody. Let's get a couple of these super chats out of the way. We've had some super chats coming in. Thank you to Kenyon A for a $5 super chat. What is the best first and second FPV drone? Wanting to use a digital DJI digital with Tango 2 and DJI FPV goggles. Your best. So what you should do is, Kenyon, buy the Tango 2. Do not buy a drone. Start with the Tango 2 on a simulator in a computer. Get Velocidrone, get Liftoff, get DRL. At the beginning, you have no skills, and some of the simulators are better than others in terms of their physics and their accuracy of their flight feel. But when you're starting from zero, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to figure out what the sticks do. Start in the simulator. That should be the first thing you do. you're going to put in between 10 and 30 hours in the simulator, depending on how quickly you pick it up. Okay. While you are practicing in the simulator, I would say get a build kit. Like I have 2 build kits I've put out right now. One is the budget build for the 5-inch Xylo Freakstyle. I have a full build tutorial on my channel. One is for the 4-inch QAVS Lite. And the advantage of that is that while you're learning to fly in the simulator, you're learning to build on the bench. The tutorial video I made takes you through the whole process. See, a lot of times people, they want to build a quadcopter, but they get super overwhelmed. There's just so much information. And the idea of those videos is that I'll just sort of hold your hand through the whole process. At the end of the build, now you've got a quadcopter that you built yourself. You know how to set it up. You know how to repair it. And you also know how to fly because you've been practicing in the simulator, and now you can take it out and maiden it. That's actually what I would recommend you do. Yeah. If you want to buy a bind and fly to get in the air as soon as possible, which I don't recommend, because if you don't spend that time in the simulator, you're going to buy the bind and fly. The very first time you fly it, you're going to crash it, you're going to lose it, you're going to destroy it, and you're going to get 5 seconds of flight time, and then you're going to be like, this is hard. That's the way most people are going to go. But if you do want to bind and fly, the iFlight Sedora SL5E is about $200. It's a great choice for a 5-inch. If you want to go with something smaller, the Emax Tiny Hawk, they have a new digital Tiny Hawk. Oh, you want DJI. The Sedora I don't think comes in DJI version, but the Nazgul V2, Nazgul, the Nazgul V2 has a high-def version. Any of those are good. Okay. Thank you for your super chat, Kenyon A. Rob Muller, thank you for a €5 super chat. Does dronehacks.com work for us Europeans? I live in the Netherlands, and FCC is a must. CE connection sucks. So dronehacks.com is a website that hacks DJI drones. I don't know anything about it, but I have seen other people talking about it. So just to be clear, I am not endorsing this. But basically, for $100, they say that you can unlock FCC mode on your DJI drone. I assume that it works. I think you have to hook it up to your phone, and you have to do this every time you power it up, or maybe every time you arm. I'm not sure. I can't remember which. But it does enable FCC mode for the DJI FPV drone, so they say. Apparently you can download the app and try it out for free, so you could give it a try. I don't know if it works. I certainly can't vouch for it. You give it a try, though. Apparently there's a free version you can test out. California Gaming, thanks for a $5 super chat. I have the Atom RC Dodo 135 Plus using the TX12. I have mastered acro and liftoff and DRL. Really? Mastered it? Probably a little generous use of the word mastered. My son's about 9 years old, almost 10. He says that. He'll he actually said that recently with he's been flying the simulator and quadcopters, and he can fly around. And he'll say, yeah, I've mastered this now. What should I do next? I'm like, I haven't mastered it. Have you mastered it? I've mastered acro. Okay. Sorry to pick on you, California Gaming. How close are the Sims to the real thing? California Gaming, none of the Sims are perfect in their physics. Some are better than others. Velocidrone is one of the best if you want to do racing style stuff. I will say, though, that if you can fly around in the sim with confidence, you will be okay in real life. If you're trying to do precision moves, like if you were to practice a race course in Velocidrone and then get your real quad and try and do the race course, it wouldn't feel exactly the same. Your times on the race course wouldn't be exactly the same. It would take some adjustment. But if you are confident and can fly around in the sim without crashing, you're going to be fine in real life. And there have been videos people have made for YouTube channels where a noob practices for 6 hours in the sim and then takes off in a real 5-inch, and he's doing power loops and rolls, and he's fine. There's fine. Rotor Riot just did a video with Christian, the editor of Rotor Riot. He plays in the sim a lot, but he doesn't fly real drones. And they gave him a real drone and let him fly it, and he was just fine. So the sim is absolutely capable of preparing you for real-life flying, even though they're not perfect. DRL, so DRL, I think their physics model for the Racer 4 is really good. The thing I like most about DRL Sim is when you try their competitions with the Racer 4 is so heavy that you basically run the entire course at full throttle. If you're trying to get a good time on a DRL competition track, if you lower the throttle at all, you're now out of, basically you're just way down the leaderboard. And it forces you to understand how pitch, roll, and yaw affect the quadcopter's movement in a deeper way. Because normally you're not at full throttle, and if you screw up a turn, you can punch the throttle to recover and get you moving the direction you want to be moving. But if you force yourself to never touch the throttle and always be at full throttle, then you have to, you don't have that crutch, and you have to learn your lines better. So I think DRL is very interesting for that. As far as physics goes, I think most people would agree that Velocidrone's physics feel the most realistic if what you want is a 5-inch racing quad style experience. MK, thank you for a $5 super chat. DJI, I hope you're listening. Where did it go? I lost it. We need lower RPM on zero throttle in manual mode. Yeah. I don't know about that. We'll see if they're listening. Cloud Ninja Photography, thank you for a $10 super chat. No question, no text, just $10. Thank you. Cycling Mikey, thank you for a £5 super chat. What do you recommend for field charging? I'm on a bike, so I don't have a 12-volt car power accessible. ISDT 8 Pro charger and some sort of battery. So, Mikey, I don't recommend field charging. Okay, what I mean by that is field charging is just such a hassle. Like, I'm going to carry a 10,000 milliamp hour 6S and a charger, and I'm going to charge my flight packs. Why would I not just buy 4 or 5 more flight packs? Okay, the math doesn't really work out. Like, a good flight pack is going to be anywhere from maybe $25 and up. And milliamp hour for milliamp hour, watt hour per watt hour, you do get more economy by buying a 10,000 milliamp hour 6S. Technically, you will get more flights per dollar out of that field charging setup. But it's not as big a difference as you think. Like, let's do some math. Let's say we've got a 1,300 milliamp hour. Let's do 6S because everybody's 6S. Let's say we've got a 1,100 milliamp hour 6S times 3.7 times 6. 24 watt hours. 24 watt hours in that pack, okay? Now let's say I've got a 10,000 milliamp hour 6S, like for my field charging setup, times 3.7 times 6. That's 222 divided by 24. So I'm going to be able to charge 9 packs off of that 10,000 milliamp hour, roughly 9, maybe with efficiency losses, maybe 8 packs. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do the math, and you're going to say, what am I going to spend on that 10,000 milliamp hour 6S? Let's look it up. I just pulled that number out of my butt, but 10,000 milliamp hour 6S Lipo. Let's see if we can find one. Hobby King, always good. Turnigy high capacity, 10,000 milliamp hour 6S, 12C. It's $95. Well, this is going to come out. So for $95, we can buy this 6S pack, and we can charge roughly 8 times. Compare that to $25 to $35 for 1,100 milliamp hour 6S pack, depending on the quality of the C rating. So I can buy maybe 4 flight packs, or I could get maybe 8 flights off of this field charging setup. Now, does that seem like good math to you? Maybe it does. Because you're also going to have to charge them. You're going to have to wait while they charge. Like your best case scenario is you're going to be doing maybe a 2C charge, maybe a 3 or 4C charge. So it's going to take you 15, 20 minutes at best to charge the packs while you're flying. My take is usually I would rather just buy more flight packs than be carrying around a 10,000 milliamp hour 6S for field charging. Just take enough packs to the field, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, if you have a motorcycle, the motorcycle does have an alternator, right? Technically, motorcycle's got an alternator, doesn't it? Does it? I guess he says he doesn't have 12-volt power. That's my take. The other thing I would say, if you do want to do field charging, what I would look for, and this isn't going to work, may not work if you're on a motorcycle, you can get these little 800 watt, 1000 watt, 1000 watt generators. That's too expensive. There you go. You can get these little freaking generators. Oh, here we go. This is the one you want. These cheap, crappy little, they're not impressive. For about $250, you can get these little 1000 watt, 800 watt generators, gasoline generators. And on a tank of gas, you could just charge so many packs. So if you have the ability to tote something like this, and if you don't mind the noise, and they're actually not that bad, you set it far away from with flight and you just walk over and start your charging. For $250, it's way heavier than that 6S Lipo, but you're going to charge a ton of packs, and it's a pretty good freaking setup. Sean Morrison, Let's Fly RC, down in Orlando, has one of these, and it's great. It's just great. So that's the direction I would go. All right. Oh, Bean Time, if he means a bike. Yeah, though then he doesn't have an alternator. So if you got literally a bicycle, then that 6S is the way to go. But again, work the math and think about whether you would rather just buy more flight packs. And there's no question that the field charging setup is more economical, but you have to count the time, because you can only charge 1 pack at a time, or maybe 2 packs at a time if you got a parallel board, or if you got a two bay charger. It still isn't actually going to help you as much as you think, potentially, because you're going to have to wait for the packs to charge up in the field. So anyway, that's my take. Durzo FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Had my first DJI HD experience yesterday. From the beginning, I disliked it because I didn't want analog to die, but I'm impressed, and I will sport both. You won't be sporting both for long, Durzo. You try to give it time. Analog's not going to die, though. Economically speaking, I mean, I think that I would estimate that about maybe as much as 30 to 40% of people, and that's on the high end. I would guess that at most 30 or 40% of people are flying DJI now. I think 40 even feels a little high. My point is that analog being so inexpensive is going to mean that analog is going to be around for a while. Cloud Ninja Photography. There we go. There's another $5 super chat from Cloud Ninja. Please help me with my X Lite. I cannot get the controller to take the firmware update. Now it's stuck and only allows me to bind in XJT D16. Cloud Ninja, I got to say, we got to do some back and forth on this. I'm going to have to ask you to email me, joshuabardwell@gmail.com. I don't know if you guys noticed, I've been doing some late night live streams. I've been doing, I usually the last thing I do before I go to bed is clear my inbox. And at one point I was just like, well, you know what? As long as I'm sitting here, let's have some company. So I've been doing these late night live streams while I clear my inbox. And maybe you'll be on that live stream if you email me about this. So yeah, you check those out. If you are a patron, I also upload those as podcasts to the Patreon. So if you want to just listen to them on your podcast player, you can join the Patreon. Eric Toft said in the Discord, says, DJI wrecked analog freestyle for me, but I still use analog for racing. Yeah, racing is still a place where analog is dominant. Penguins Can Fly, thank you for €5 super chat. DJI FPV goggles V1. I set it to 50 megabit per second, but it sets itself to 25 megabits per second. If I power cycle, it sometimes gets back to 50. Penguins Can Fly. Make sure that you change channels. If you are in the public channel, it will drop to 25. I'm not sure why. Make sure that you are actually on channel like 1, 2, or 3. And that's what I bet is going on. Private Island FPV, thanks for $5 Canadian. I realize this moving picture has sound too. What does this button do? It gives me money. Thank you for hitting that button. Yeah, Boyd, thank you for a $5 super chat. My Crossfire diversity is bound, but it's not showing up in Betaflight. I checked ports. Channel 1 is RX, channel 2 is TX. Serial-based RX set to Crossfire. Any other ideas? Yeah, Boyd, Crossfire diversity comes shipped. Here, I have a video about it. Boyd. TBS Crossfire Nano diversity not working. Easy fix. Here's the fix. Yeah, Boyd. If you've got a TBS Crossfire Nano diversity receiver, not the regular Nano RX, but the diversity, and you've installed it in your quad, and you cannot freaking get it to work, I know why. It's really stupid, but it's really easy to fix. For the regular Nano RX, TBS assumes that you're going to put it into a multi-rotor, and so they ship it set to output the Crossfire protocol by default. That's what your flight controller expects to see. But for the Nano Diversity RX, they assume you're going to put it, I guess, in an airplane, and it outputs PWM protocol as if it was going to drive a servo. And the flight controller just isn't expecting that. Here's how to fix it. In your Crossfire Lua script, go down to the Nano Diversity RX, and then scroll down here to the output map and make sure output 1 is set to Crossfire TX and output 2 is set to Crossfire RX. That'll fix it. Yep, that's the fix. I'm going to guess that's what's happening. Give me a second, guys. We are going to, I'm switching from coffee to tea. Not that kind of tea, Brits. Good old American sweet tea. Actually, this is unsweet, I think. Milo's famous unsweet tea. Here's Milo's sweet story. It was founded as a restaurant in 1946 by Milo and B. Carlton after Milo returned from serving our country in World War II. Milo's philosophy was simple. Use high-quality natural ingredients, listen to your customers, and never sacrifice taste. This vision still guides Milo's today as they fresh brew daily with real tea leaves, source natural ingredients, and never add colors or preservatives. Milo's tea, a great way to spark yourself up on a live stream, refresh yourself on a nice summer day, and while you're at it, squirt in some of that Mio lemonade squirt to really, just perk up that drink. We'll give it a little shake here. Ow. You're like Tom Cruise in that bartender movie. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good. And then we'll give a little bit of that ASMR action people want. Oh. Milo's sweet tea. That was not they say you dress for the job you want, not the job you have, and I'm hoping to get some sweet Milo's and Mio sponsorship dollars. And I don't know why you wouldn't pay me with an endorsement like that. What do you think of that ad read? Milo's lemonade. I never endorsed the Milo's lemonade. Let's continue with the super chats. Snoopy FPV says no commercial breaks, please. I mean, as long as I'm filling up the drink. Yeah, I'm going to take a break from reading super chats from literal people who've given me money to do an ad read for a company that hasn't given me money just because I think it's hilarious. I would pay you not to do that again, Mikhail Baxter. You do it for free, so why pay you? But I would do it more. I would do it more if I was being paid. All right. Hectectica, thank you for a $5 super chat. I wrecked a Gep RC Rocket Light. The electronics are still good. Is swapping to a Diatone Roma L3 frame too much for the motors? Gep RC Rocket Light is a 2-inch? Can you run 1204 motors on a Roma 3? That, I'm going to leave that to the chat. My gut feeling is that going from 2-inch to 3-inch props is probably not a good idea. I'm going to guess my read. 1204. Like, I think Kebab uses 12 sized motors on his baby tooth, on his, the baby tooth. But that's like, 60 grams or something. I don't think that's a great idea, Hectectica. Reese C, thank you for a $10 super chat. I have a weird memory of someone saying to get better performance with the V2 goggles with aftermarket 5G antennas, you needed to set them to 5G. Did I dream that? I can't find anything about it. Reese, you can manually, if you're working with Air Unit and Vista, they only operate in 5 gigahertz, so it doesn't matter. If you're using the DJI FPV drone, you're going to want to manually set it to 5 gigahertz, in my opinion. But it should detect that the signal is better. If you have it set to auto, it should detect that the signal is better on 5G and do that automatically. Personally, I would manually set it. Penguins can fly. Thank you for €5. If I fly, a second problem with the DJI goggles V1, quite often the megabits per second in the OSD is stuck to 50.8 and won't change even if I fly very, very far. No, that's not a problem. They just have very good range. I'm going to guess Penguins can fly that you are just flying out in, like, you can go, I've gone a kilometer out, and as long as I'm high up in the air, it's just 50 megabits per second. You go behind a hill or you go behind a house and it drops. I'm going to guess that you don't have a bug and that the megabit per second reading is accurate. I've never heard of a bug where the megabit per second reading was inaccurate. So I think you're just saying, I've got a problem with my goggles. Yeah, the range is so good. This can't be real, can it? Ha ha. Maybe it is. Brandon D says for that 3-inch 1404 minimum. Yeah. Grim FPV uses 1207 on 3-inch, but that's not 1204. That's a much bigger motor than 1204. Ray Edwards says, I'm the only one who thinks my Mio and ad reads are funny. It's my live stream, though. I mean, yes, obviously, if you guys weren't here, this would be pathetic. But, I mean, I get to have fun, too. I need to have fun. And doing stupid ad reads is fun for me. I really do like this tea, though. P. Lund, thanks for 33 Swedish kroner. Time to plug Pete's Coffee again? Yeah, Boyd, thanks for a $2 super chat. Nailed the ad read, as always. Thank you, yeah, Boyd, for your support. Sick of Life 90, thanks for a $2 super chat. Tracer, Ghost, or Crossfire for analog freestyle. That is a tough... I have a video I've been working on, researching, and I gotta just pull the trigger and make the video. Here's the problem. Between Tracer, Ghost, and Crossfire, I don't think there is a clear differentiator for a typical pilot. Let's talk about it. Whenever I do a product comparison, one of the things I try to do is find wedge issues. That's a good way to put it. To say that if you have this priority, clearly that drives you this direction, so that people can pick a product that's right for them. But I cannot find wedge issues for Tracer, Ghost, and Crossfire for a typical freestyle pilot. So hang on. Let's assume that we're talking about a typical FPV pilot who is flying. I mean, am I wrong? I think most freestyle pilots fly at a range of, at most, let's say 2 to 4 kilometers. Okay. I that's my thought. I think most people are under 2 kilometers most of the time. So if you're going out past, let's say 4, 5, 10 kilometers, maybe you could make an argument. Even then, though, Ghost will go 50 kilometers. Crossfire will go 50 kilometers. Tracer, there's a guy who had Tracer out to 20 kilometers. How many people are going that far? So I think even if range is a priority, maybe any one of them is as good as any other. What about latency? Tracer, 250 hertz. Ghost, also 250 hertz. Ghost does have the ability to switch between FLRC modulation, like Tracer, and LoRa modulation. So with Ghost, you can have LoRa with no telemetry or FLRC with telemetry, but shorter range. So I think one thing that makes one differentiator that jumps out is that Ghost is way more flexible. You can put Ghost into long range mode and it'll go down to like 15 hertz update rate and it'll just go basically forever. You can put Ghost into high performance mode and it'll have 250 hertz update rate. You basically can put that slider between performance and range anywhere you want it. But the counter argument is, who freaking cares? Who cares? That's the argument that I think TBS would make. With Tracer on ludicrous power, you could under optimal conditions get it out to 20 kilometers, and under less than optimal conditions, you're still going to get a couple kilometers. At which point, what do you care? You're not going 20 kilometers anyway. And that's the thing. Every time I think about a differentiator between Tracer, Ghost, and Crossfire, it seems like it just doesn't matter to most people. So here are some differentiators that absolutely do matter. If you're in Europe and you're flying Crossfire, you only have, I think it's about 15 megahertz of bandwidth. It's very difficult in Europe to fly Crossfire with a lot of other pilots. Now, for freestyle pilots, this probably doesn't matter because you typically fly alone or maybe with one or two other friends. But for racers in Europe, Crossfire is clearly a worse choice than Ghost or Tracer. So that's a differentiator. What's the differentiator? Let me ask you guys. What's the differentiator between these guys? Ghost will have a friendly mode, which aims to avoid affecting other pilots at races, where Ghost powers up, and if it's not bound, it goes into a low power mode, basically. That's interesting. Express LRS is the other one that we are talking about. Fatboy FPV, thank you. Express LRS has to be in the mix, although you didn't ask for it, Sick of Life 90. Express LRS has ridiculous range and ridiculous update rates. The guy I know who is trying to do range tests on these with a long range quad, basically he could not fail safe Express LRS. He went out like 35 kilometers, had to turn around because of his battery, and still was at like 99% LQ on Express LRS. At which point, we're at this point where range is just not a differentiator for most people. Because if I can go 35 kilometers on Express LRS and still be at 99% LQ, and I can go 35 kilometers on Crossfire and still be at 99% LQ, who cares? If they could go 150 kilometers, doesn't matter. So it's tough. I'm not sure how to make this video because, like I said, every time there's practically no difference. Crossfire can't go. So Crossfire can only go to 150 hertz, not 250 hertz. So Crossfire is like 6 millisecond latency. Tracer's like 4 millisecond latency. Some people feel like that matters. I think it's debatable. If you want to go further in suboptimal conditions, pick Crossfire over Tracer at this point, right? I agree, Private Island, FPV. Tracer, under ideal conditions, can get 20 kilometers of range. under real world conditions, Tracer is definitely going to have less range than Crossfire, and maybe Tracer will still have less range than you would prefer, although perhaps not. Perhaps it would be fine. The other thing is that Tracer is at 1 watt-ish, ludicrous power they call it, whereas Crossfire is going to be at 250 milliwatts, which is going to mean that you're going to have just your battery's going to last longer on your controller. Penetration and range are basically the same thing, Jason Lee. Not 100%, but basically, yeah. Is antenna size not a pro for 2.4 gigahertz? Absolutely, Clint Chapman. But it's funny to me because as we find these differentiators, like the 2.4 gig antennas are smaller, they're so trivial. Like all of these protocols are so good that it's actually kind of hard to pick a clear differentiator that makes one better than the other. Pacific Northwest asks, are we just making up Hertz numbers for Express LRS, or are there hard numbers somewhere? Pacific Northwest, no, absolutely. UAV Tech, Mark Spatz did an analysis of the data transfer for all these protocols. Express LRS is actually very good. Not only is Express LRS telling the truth about their update rate, but in addition, they're very consistent. Whereas others, like you'll see with FreeSky, it'll be like, 16, 16, 16, 16, 32. There'll be these variances in the packet rate. Express LRS is fast and consistent. It's very good at that. Nobody's taking their word for it. Anyway, Tracer Ghost Crossfire for analog freestyle. I'm still on Crossfire on most of my quads out of sheer laziness. That's just the truth. I'm still not ready to just commit to Tracer. Just because I just trust Crossfire after years of using it. And the issue with having multiple pilots in the air doesn't really affect me because I'm not a racer. The other thing about Tracer is diversity. It does mean it's a little more complicated to mount 2 antennas versus 1, whereas Ghost puts diversity on the module, which I kind of like better. I think one of the we're gonna finish this topic up in just a second because I don't want to spend a half hour talking about it. But I think another differentiator is that I think on paper, Ghost has a lot of advantages, but there's no doubt that Tracer and Crossfire are much more mature. The whole ecosystem around them is much more mature, and that certainly counts for something. So, anyway, let's move on. Zachary Ubig, thank you for a $5 super chat. Maiden flight, went to sit unarmed, quad down, then the motor spun. Hitting my fingers, found Vista ground off and dead flight controller. Well, I don't know why the ground wire came off, but it does seem like you had a hardware problem of some kind. A wire maybe came undone, the flight controller failed. It's impossible to sort of know why that might have happened, whether there was a mistake in building, a bad solder joint or something. But it just goes to show you, never get complacent. I mean, it shouldn't happen, but if you said that happened and there was no physical damage, then I'd be more suspicious. But since there was physical damage, then yeah. Doghouse FPV in the Discord wants to know, cold batteries clearly underperform as chemical reactions don't like cold temperatures. That is true. If your batteries are cold, they're going to perform much worse. Does it damage the batteries to use or charge them when they're cold? Is the freezing point of water relevant as a threshold for Lipo batteries? I don't think that's relevant. What's the freezing point of the liquid solution inside Lipos? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I'm not an expert on Lipo chemistry. I mean, we know that the battery's internal resistance goes up as it gets colder. one thing to keep in mind is that when you charge the battery, it will warm up as the charging proceeds. So I think if you're charging at a 1C rate, it doesn't seem to me like you're harming the battery very much, just because 1C is such a conservative charge rate and in the first 10 minutes of charging, the battery will warm up from the internal resistance and things will sort of settle in. So I think as long as you're charging at a safe rate, I don't think you're going to damage the batteries, but that's just a gut feeling. It's not based on any actual expertise. Flingin, thank you for 50. CZK. What is a CZK? I think it's Czech Koruna. Do you think someone like Fat Shark or someone else will soon catch up to DJI? Thank you for these great videos you're doing. It helps me a lot. Short answer, no. DJI has too much money and too much engineering expertise. No one will catch them if they don't want to be caught. However, they may make decisions that you don't like. Look at the DJI FPV drone. Do you like it? Do you think it's a great drone? Could they have made the world's best racing drone? Sure, they just didn't want to. So a company like Fat Shark or Orca trying to make a competing HD system, I think that they will find things that DJI doesn't want to do because it doesn't serve their market and do them better than DJI. But in terms of pure image quality and range, no one's going to catch them. They have too much money and too much engineering expertise. It's just, I mean, I just feel like that's a safe thing to say. If someone does catch them, it will be like, I look at the difference between Fat Shark and Orca. Fat Shark is basically trying to serve the FPV market, period. Orca is trying to serve the FPV market, but they also have these bigger plans related to telepresence. And who knows who Orca is aiming? Are they aiming at medical? Are they aiming at military and government, law enforcement? Who knows? Public safety? Perhaps all of the above. But I'm excited about that because if you look at why does DJI have all the money in the world to make FPV stuff? Because they sell billions and billions of dollars worth of consumer drones and camera drones. And so I think that Fat Shark's business model of focusing on the FPV community is going to limit them because there's only so much money in the FPV community. Perhaps Fat Shark also knows this and may change their strategy, especially with the Red Cat acquisition. Who knows what their bigger plans are? I don't. But I know that Orca has said that they're focusing on the larger market, and perhaps that means they'll be able to pull in more money that they can then maybe bring. But I think it's a long shot. DJI is just so good at this and has so much money. I think it's going to be difficult for anyone to catch them. Justin French, thanks for a $5 super chat. Can I use an LC filter to clean my 5.8 gig video feed? Yeah, you can. If you have really noisy analog video, trying to clean it up with a filter is sort of putting a Band-Aid on the problem. You really want a clean power supply, isolated grounds. You don't want ground loops. You really want to go back to basics and try and solve the problem that way. Cleaning it with an LC filter is just putting a Band-Aid on the problem, but it can work. Phenom Vapes, thank you for a $50 super chat. That's a massive super chat. I very much appreciate it. I just started FPV 3 weeks ago and have been binge watching all your videos. Awesome. Am I able to bind a single drone with a Cadets and Crossfire to both my DJI and X10S remotes? Yes, but you can't use them at the same time. So you bind the Cadets Vista to your DJI remote, you bind the Crossfire to your X10 remote, but in the flight controller, you must pick one of those UARTs, and they cannot be on the same UART. And whichever UART you pick is the controller you could use. You can't do two controllers at the same time, though. G-Man 1185, thanks for a $2 super chat. Cinequeen full acro with 650 death spin with 850. This is a question I answered yesterday on my emails. Maybe it was your question. Some people are having death rolls or flyaways on larger batteries, but not on smaller batteries, which is pretty weird. One thing that could be causing this, G-Man, is the larger battery has a higher C rating and a lower internal resistance, which may allow the motors to accelerate faster, which could be resulting in a desync due to a damaged motor or ESC. That's such a long shot, but it is a possibility. Anytime you're getting death rolls, then I think your motor or ESC is probably damaged. Milford, Killian Dawson, thank you for £2. Look at secondhand in the UK. Crossfire is more available. Good point. Crossfire, Tracer, Ghost. If you're trying to buy secondhand, there's a ton, especially as people are switching to Tracer and Ghost. People are selling their Crossfire stuff used. Very good point. Bruno Rodriguez, thanks for 15 euros. I'm new in this hobby, and after seeing a few videos, those Lipo packs are scary as frick. How do you keep them safe inside? The number one way to keep your Lipos safe is to be aware of the signs of a damaged Lipo, and as soon as a Lipo shows any sign of betraying you, you just take it out back and you retire it. I don't literally mean that. I have such low tolerance for damaged Lipos. I just don't take chances with them. Now, I acknowledge that as a professional in the FPV community, I have a little bit more budget to throw Lipos away and just buy new ones and call it a business expense. That if you're a typical person who, buying 4 Lipos for $100 is a major expense, and then you crash and you ding the Lipo a little, you don't want to throw it out. You don't want to just go, get rid of it. So I've got a video. I've got a video about how to figure out if a Lipo is safe to charge. That's not my name. Yeah, this one. So I want you to take a look at this video. Oh, look at this smiling face. Take a look at this video, Bruno Rodriguez. And it's got some guidelines for if your Lipo is safe to charge. The other thing is, so retire the Lipo if it shows signs of being badly damaged. The other is always balance charge. Always balance charge. Now, most chargers are going to balance charge automatically, but always make sure that your charger is balancing. If the pack gets over discharged below 3.0 volts, don't use any of those tricks to recover it. That's not safe. And so typically healthy Lipos don't spontaneously combust. The problem is that Lipos get damaged and you don't pay attention to it, and then they spontaneously combust. But sometimes that happens. So then what? Storing Lipos in a fire-safe location is ideal. Some people store their Lipos inside their barbecue grill out on the back patio. I mean, don't fire up the grill with the Lipos in there by accident, but sure. Some people will store them if you have a wood stove in your house. They'll store them in the wood stove. Hey, it's not a bad idea. Some people put them in the fireplace. Kevlar fireproof bags. Good idea. Some people build a concrete bunker with sandbags, with cinder blocks and sandbags. And there are various things you can do. Ammo boxes, ammo cans. Good. Yeah. All right, we're caught up on Super Chats. Amazing. That only took an hour. Am I overcautious by balancing my 6S after charging? No, always balance charge. Always balance. It's critical. Tanzanite Plays asks in the regular, let's get back to the regular YouTube chat. Tanzanite Plays says, my budget is 200 to 300 euros. Which action cam should I get? GoPro is just the go-to. It's just GoPro. There's an argument to be made that if you want a 360 cam, the Insta360 1R is a good choice. I feel like it's a good choice. Image quality is nowhere near GoPro, but the 360 is pretty cool and the workflow is very good. I would 100% take an Insta360 1R over a GoPro Max. I actually own both of them right now, and I keep trying to sell my GoPro Max, and nobody seems to want to buy it. Anybody want to buy a GoPro Max? I'll make you a good deal. DM me. I'm serious. The GoPro Max has good image quality, but the workflow I think is inferior. The Insta360 software is so good. So, yeah. But as far as regular action cams go, GoPro. So, like, you could get a refurbished Hero 7 in the USA for under $200. That's a great deal. You may be able to get a refurbished Hero 8 for under 300 euros. I don't think you get a new one. But just find a GoPro. Look for refurbished GoPros. They're usually fine. They're usually good quality. And they're usually a pretty good discount. I store my damaged Lipos at my Grand's house, says Doglife UK. Oh, and then Grand's house burned down. Oh, but then you got that sweet, sweet money from her will. Anyway. Cadets Orca or Runcam Orange, asks Sub Bunny. Runcam Orange. Oh, I told you. I forgot something. I told you I would show you how cringy I am. I told you I would show you how cringy I am, and I forgot to come back and do that. Hang on. View profile. Hold on. This is how cringy I am. I'm not going to play the music. Yep. Oh, I would hate to make you a promise like that and not deliver. Yep. I'll wait for the chat to catch up. Yeah, we got first place. We got first place because no one else was in our age group. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we were particularly good, but we did get first place because no one else was in our age group. Oh, good times. That is me. That is me. Of course, that's me. Yeah, why would I be showing you this picture if that wasn't me? Oh. No, we're not. No, Mike Bergman. That's just the pose. That's just our pose. The pose you make for figure. It's figure skating. How old was I in that photo? 1989. Yep, I am. Am I 19? Am I 14? How old am I? 75, 85. Yeah, I am 14 years old. That's me. That's 14-year-old me. Anyway. There you go. No, that was figure skating. You know how, like, in the Olympics, they do figure skating on ice? Couples figure skate, the guys, like, throw the women around and stuff. Well, we never got to the point of throwing each other around, but that was figure skating. Please, Michelle Capitaine. That's a 14-year-old girl. Please don't comment on her legs. I mean, she's not 14 anymore. Yeah. Anyway, that's how cringy I am. Now you know. Enjoy. Alrighty. You should have a get to know the real JB video. That's basically my TikTok. I mean, I liked doing it, Ciati. Ciati says my mom made me do figure skating growing up. I hated it and I was embarrassed. I liked it. You know, I'm not sure I'm really helping my case here. I actually worked at the roller rink. I was employed at the... You know when you go to the roller rink and you get the rental skates and the guy behind the counter gives you your rental skates? That was me. That was me. I had such a promising future. What happened? Indeed. I mean, you know, it was fun. It was fun. If we don't see you pics of you figure skating at 3, I'm on. That's the only. Oh, Ciati, I see. That's the only pic I have from back in the day. I'm sure like my mom or my dad has some more. It was pretty fun. Does it transfer to ice skating? Ice skating's different than roller skating. You do different things with your feet. Ciati, I was the same way. So I had figure skates, right? But all the cool kids had speed skates. And in case you don't know, speed skates, like for racing, they're very different than figure skates. They're like, anyway. So I really desperately wanted a set of speed skates because, like, obviously figure skating's cool, clearly. But, you know, when it's Friday night and you're at the roller rink, you don't want to be out there in your figure skates. Like, what kind of a nerd are you? So I desperately wanted my parents to get me a set of speed skates so I could be one of the cool kids. It didn't happen. And that's why I was never one of the cool kids and not any other reason than that my parents wouldn't buy me speed skates. Yeah. Anyway. There you go. Oh, Sir Bounce-A-Lot, Jill Capitan meant my legs. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I assumed you were commenting on the girls' legs. I take back my chastisement. Wait, no, it's the same chastisement. I was a 14-year-old boy. Please don't comment on my legs. Right? It's even worse now. Alrighty. Let's get back into the live stream. Nick Sebring was a skate guard for 2 years in high school. Yep. My parents also figure skated. That's how I got into it. I'm not sure how you decide. I'd like to get into figure skating. And then you look at all the, you look at Nancy Kerrigan and all the cool people in the Olympics, and you're like, nah, let's do it on roller skates. How do you end up at the roller rink instead of the ice rink? Like, don't get me wrong, roller rinks are way more awesome than ice rinks. I think the main reason why roller rinks are more awesome than ice rinks is on roller skates, you can easily get off the rink and go hang out at the snack bar and play video games and chill with your friends around the roller rink. Whereas on an ice rink, you pretty much have to be on the ice the whole time, right? So in a roller rink is a more social experience. Nevertheless, if what you want to do is figure skate, I'm not sure why you ended up at the roller rink, but, I was young. Emmett FPV, this is a mason jar. It's a quart mason jar for canning. Nono FPV says, I have some drone shots I made in Dubai because I live there. Can I put those on YouTube without having legal problems? No, I have no idea what the situation is in Dubai. My impression of Dubai is that if you break the law, it goes very badly for you. But you live there, I don't. So I don't know. I would certainly not presume to know whether it's a good idea for you to put them on YouTube. All right. Let's stop talking about figure skating. It's over. Fluff's Flyin. Thank you for 549 euros. I don't have stick response in EmuFlight. Betaflight works. I use the same target. Ports tab and config settings are the same. I'm using Crossfire. Eesh. Man. I mean, here's my guess, Fluff's Flyin, but it's just a guess. EmuFlight is based on Betaflight 357. I think they have not rebased against the newer versions of Betaflight. I can only guess that there's some difference in the target that is causing the problem. It's a total long shot, though. But if the ports tab and the configuration are the same, then it should work in both Betaflight and EmuFlight. Maybe you could ask on the EmuFlight Slack. There's a Slack channel for EmuFlight, or maybe is it Discord? Maybe it's Discord. I would have to point you to the EmuFlight devs. They're very responsive and very helpful, and maybe they can help you with that. Callie Clay says the FPV Cycle Glide is out of stock forever. Do you know anything about it? No. That's always the thing people say with FPV cycle, and it sucks. Maybe Bob needs to hire a freaking store manager to run his. Say, Bob, hire some. No, it's that because it's not that he can't run his store. It's that he. I mean, I have to think that he's so picky about his manufacturers that stuff's always out of stock. But his stuff is good, but it's so out of stock forever. Like his 5-inch motors. I think his 5-inch motors are really special. And I've thought about whether I want to put them on my upcoming forever ultimate freestyle build that will someday eventually come out. But part of the thing that gives me pause is if I put them on my ultimate freestyle build and people want to build it and the motors are out of stock, then it's going to be a problem. And stuff's always out of stock. Stuff is always out of stock, but it feels like it's out of stock a lot at FPV Cycle. Maybe it's just that his stuff is so popular that it sells out quickly. Thank you, Sean Carrick, for $5 super chat. Chewy Do says the race day quads has the glide in stock. That's so there you go. There's your answer. Go to race day quads. Baskin FPV says, why is KISS and Flight 1 hardware out of stock everywhere? Are they not able to produce? Yeah, so Baskin, I couldn't say why it's out of stock everywhere. That's an internal business situation that I don't know the answer. However, Flight 1 has opened up the ability to license Flight 1 on third-party hardware, maybe because this stuff was out of stock so much. So if you want to fly Falco X, at least you have some options, like Diatone flight controllers. You can buy a license and enable it on Diatone flight controllers. Nono FPV wants to know, what do you think about the Rush Tank Solo, and are you going to review it? I think it's great. I would like to review it. I think they're sending it to me. But Rush has such a great reputation that I feel confident that if they put out a new VTX, you could probably trust it. It's big compared to some of the other VTXs, but it has quote-unquote 1+ watt. They're not allowed to advertise it going over 1 watt for regulatory reasons, but it's gonna be baller. Sir Clean FPV wants to know when the new product Roundup is coming out. Sir Clean, I suspect we're going to skip March is how it's going to play out. We didn't get to the February new product Roundup until like the 15th. So like on the first week of March, I didn't want to do it because it had only been like 2 weeks since the last one. And then by the second week of March, I was super busy with the DJI drone or whatever. I don't remember what I was busy with. And then, no, that was the first week. And then by the third week of March, I was like, well, shoot, we may as well freaking wait till the 1st of April. So that's probably what we're going to do. Sorry, man. Sorry, it's just how it's going to work out. Cyclimbo wants to know, I put a JHE MCU GHF13 all-in-one in my tadpole to try it out. It has an RSSI pad broken out, but RSSI doesn't register properly on my XM Plus. XM Plus, okay, so the RSSI pad, Cyclimbo, is for analog RSSI. 0 to 3.3 volts analog RSSI. I don't think the XM Plus outputs analog RSSI. Or maybe it does. Maybe you know something I don't know. He said he's toggled it on in Betaflight, but RSSI doesn't seem to show as allocated to a CPU pin in resources. Interesting. So you definitely... Cyclimbo says there's a pad on the XM Plus for analog RSSI. I did not know that. If you type resource and you don't see RSSI_ADC in the resource list, then that pin is not going to do anything. Now, in theory, you could use your multimeter to tone out the pad and find which pin on the MCU is tied to that pad. And in theory, you could set up the resource assignment and it should work. Yeah, so that's the question you're trying to ask. You're going to need a very, very fine probe. You're going to need a very fine tip probe. Some people will actually use a acupuncture needle. And you'll alligator clip to the acupuncture needle and use that as your probe. You're going to touch the RSSI pad with one probe on your multimeter, and you're going to run the pin across the pins on the MCU. And when it beeps, you found the pin that it's connected to. So then you're going to download the data sheet for the MCU, and you're going to look at the pin mapping. It'll have a pin diagram, and it's going to say this pin is pin B01. And then that's the pin you're going to remap. Do I get sound on my Sharkbite glasses? I don't think Sharkbite carries sound. FPV Bavaria Freestyle. Jonathan Weinberg wants to know, for a newcomer, should I get the TX16S with a TBS module? Yeah. I mean, if you have the money, don't waste time with like FreeSky, FlySky, Spectrum receivers. Go straight to Crossfire, Tracer, Ghost, or Express LRS. Express LRS isn't even that expensive, but it's a little bit of a hassle to flash. Penguins Can Fly, thank you for another €5 super chat. Again, on the DJI goggles, stuck to 50 megabit per second. The picture is getting blocky. Latency is bad, but still 50.8. After power cycling, I get realistic megabits. Okay, maybe you have a bug. I don't update the firmware. Huh? I'm unfortunately, I'm not going to be a lot of help. Penguins Can Fly. I hate to say that. Thank you for, especially when you were so generous with your super chats. I really want to help you more than I usually would. But I haven't heard of this bug before. I can tell you that. So if it were like super widespread, I probably would have heard of it. That doesn't help you. Just to let you know, you're alone in the world with a problem that no one can help you with. The problem is DJI is kind of a black box, so it's not like you can ask the Betaflight developers about a bug. If you think you have a bug, basically the only thing to do is change your firmware version, but I haven't heard of that problem. Are you definitely on, like, not on the public channel? I don't know. Let's see. Henry wants the best radio recommendation. I have a video you're welcome to check out. This is the video. I'll paste it in the chat. Henry. This is this is what I would say. Red Eye Joe, it has gotten easier to flash Express LRS, but do you still need the programming adapter at any point? Or is it all over USB as of today? Red Eye Joe, let me know. Or anyone in chat, let me know. Has Express LRS... I know they've made it easier to flash, but I think you still need the programming adapter for some of it, right? Which I think is going to... For many hobbyists, it'll be fine. And there's UAV Tech has a tutorial about how to do it, which is very good. It depends on the hardware. Honix FPV, there's tons of German FPV pilots. Ghost Branch FPV is one of them. Ghost Branch is in... Which city is he in? I don't remember. Yeah. Oh, well. Not very helpful. There's tons of German pilots, though. Definitely. I don't know how you could get in touch with them. Jeckley, thank you for 549 euros. I'm looking into designing a frame for a 2S version of the Nano Long Range. Do you have any tips or sources for tips on frame design? Yeah, especially for 3D printed frame design. Dave, Ghost Branch is in Cologne. Thank you, Ghost Branch. I don't know why I blanked on that. Ghost Branch, there's another German trying to hook up with you here in the chat. Wait, that sounds bad. Oh, you're right. Mayan High. Lexi Jansen she's not German, but she is in Germany. Good point. Leaf is in Germany near Oh, see, tons of Germans. All right. What kind of resources for someone designing a frame, especially a 3D printed frame? Jackie, I would send you to... I'm going to send you to shendrones.com. And here's why I say that. Oh, look at this freaking beautiful. Look at this beautiful. How could you not want to fly this quadcopter? I don't even have a red Komodo, and I want to fly this. Look at this thing. Andy Shen is so damn good. Anyway. Where's he put his build logs? Maybe about? No. Home. Scroll down. Where is his 3D printed frame that he tried to develop? The Canva. So if we click on one of these frames, yeah, this might be it. Andy Shen has a build and development blog for basically all of his frames. So like I just picked this one because it's clearly a 3D printed canopy. And you can go through all of his prototypes, all of his successes and failures. And I think as someone looking to learn about frame design, this is a fantastic resource. So I just picked the Canva. There's another one, the Mishiru. Is that the fully 3D printed one? Yeah. So read his build log for the Mishiru too. And you can even try reaching out to him. Maybe he'll chat with you. I would also try to reach out to Dave C. You never know. Like a lot of people in FPV are super approachable until they get famous, and then they won't talk to you anymore. But yeah, try talking to Dave C. They're so good to read. Like, I think everybody should read them. Because once you read one of Andy Shen's build logs, his design logs for one of his frames, you will never again say, "How dare you charge $100 for that frame? It's just a couple sheets of carbon. God." I mean, maybe you will. That's your prerogative. It's your money. Do what you want with it. But you read all of the work and the pain and the failure that goes into developing a frame. And it's clear that it's not just like, done. I drew. Yeah, that's good. It's a lot of work and time. Not every frame is like that, but. Are the Germans hooking up in the chat? Do they actually work now, says Copter Flights? 3D printed frames? No. Okay, maybe. Okay. For micros, yes. For micros down in the... Oh, what's the weight limit? I'm not going to make one up. But certainly down in the 65 millimeter size. And now Dave C has gotten this this new 1S Nano. And it's a 3D printed frame. For very small quadcopters, they can work. As you get to larger frames, the challenge is that a 3D printed frame can really struggle to get the stiffness that you need. More than once, someone who's new to FPV but experienced at 3D printing, they'll email me and they'll say, "My quadcopter, every time I arm it, it just tries to fly to the sky." And I go through all the troubleshooting. This literally happened to me at least twice. I go through all the troubleshooting steps. Is your motor direction right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it comes out, like you couldn't have told me this at the beginning. It comes out that this clever person 3D printed their own frame. And I'm like, oh, what material did you use? PLA. Oh, that's your problem. Unless you are very good at design, a 3D printed frame will not have enough stiffness to fly well. Or if you use some exotic materials like carbon impregnated, ABS, Yeah, no, it can work. It can work. But for typical 3D printing materials, it's either going to be heavy, it's going to not have enough stiffness, it's going to break the minute you crash it, or some combination of the above. Now, that is changing. There are some, like, there's a guy out there, he goes by Freezillion, I think. He's in my chats all the time. I'm going to show you. Give me a second to look it up. I'll show you what he's doing. He's got this 3-inch printed design that seems pretty freaking good. Freezillion. Here he is. He's got this 3-inch. I think it's a 3-inch design. Let's look at this picture. So check this out. Now, this is not 100% 3D printed, but it's pretty much 100% 3D printed. And this is interesting because compared to a Cinewhoop, it's not much heavier because they also have plastic ducts. And he sent me these videos showing how it flies. Here, let me let you hear the motors. That sounds pretty good. You know? Anyway. So 3D printed frames are coming along. They're starting to get there. But I still, in general, especially for 4-inch and 5-inch and larger quads, I would steer you away from it. Yeah, this ducted quad, it feels to me like it's more for racing. Oh, wrong window. Sorry. Feels to me like it's more for racing. Like those ducts are going to kind of act like weather vanes, like rudders, and are going to cause it to not change direction in quite the same way as a quad that doesn't have them. Still, it's a pretty interesting design. Yeah. Savvy and Saucy, thank you for a €5 super chat. When are you going to upload a new video about tuning from A to Z? Probably when Betaflight 4.3 comes out, I'll update a new tuning guide. My tuning videos lately have been very sort of the first rough steps I take on all my quads, because you've got guys like Mark Spatz out there doing really, really in-depth black box tuning tutorials, and I feel like he's just killing it. And I just kind of watch his videos and go, oh, that's smart. I'm seldom going into that level of depth on most of my quads, although having flown a quad that Mark tuned, maybe I ought to, because it was pretty damn good. Anyway. Let's see. There's so many Germans. People are asking for a German channel on my Discord server. 9. It's called a race whoop, says Mika. A race whoop. Anyway, where were we? There are 9 Germans? No. And Julder says, ew, Germans. Julder can say that. Julder is Austrian. And when we were playing Among Us, Ghost Branch plays Among Us, and Ghost Branch is very good at Among Us. I'll just say it. I think you're very good, Ghost Branch. I mean, I don't know if you're like pro grade, but compared to our little Discord server, you're definitely very good. And so people started saying, Ghost Branch is sus. Why? Because he's German. Never trust the Germans. So it got a little weird, but he took it in good humor. And then somebody said, Julder is German. Don't trust him. And Julder was like, excuse me, I am Austrian. So fortunately, no one got canceled. No one. It felt like we were. It felt like we were on the edge of having a little bit of a Me Too moment. Years from now, Jildur and Ghost Branch are going to be like, yes, we knew Joshua back when he was a small YouTuber. He was very offensive to our nationality on his Discord server. And Jildur will be like, yes, he called me a German. A dirty, stinking, ugly, stupid German. Wait a minute. No, I'm not helping the case. Yeah, Drone Racer says, don't mention the war. Yeah. Yeah. I have... Never mind. I'm not going to tell that story. Orga A, I'm not going to repeat that comment, but I think that's hilarious. Orga A, I'm gonna snap that for Jildur to appreciate in the Discord. We're gonna back slowly away from this topic now, okay? We're gonna back slowly away from this topic and get on with the live stream. Oh, Aber the Ham, thank you for your input. We were talking about lead exposure in one of the previous live streams and whether soldering is a risk for lead exposure. Aber the Ham is an MD, or at least he says he is. I have no way of verifying that, but he says he's an MD, and we talked about lead exposure and risks of lead exposure. I really appreciate the info there. Peter Van Acker says, can you put the Discord link in the description? Peter, my Discord server is open to patrons only. It is one of the few things that I restrict to patrons only. You're still welcome to email me. You're still welcome to message me. But if you want to hang out with those beautiful people, you got to join my Patreon. Link in the video description for as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. Jildur says, this is the best GIF ever. Here's the quote that I'm not going to read. Okay. Oh, man, we got to get away. We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here quick. Gregory Bronstein says, Joshua, why are people saying don't use angle mode, use acro mode, but when you're defining modes in Betaflight, it's every time with angle mode? I don't know what you mean, Gregory. Acro mode is just ARM with nothing else, like no angle mode. Acro is sort of the default. All right, I will. This is super risky, but I'm going to tell this story anyway, and I hope no one gets offended. There's actually a real problem that I have with video games. How can I say this? So my son plays video games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, and so forth, games set in World War II. And as a result of that, he's super interested in World War II history. Like, for example, he just knows when we were at dinner and we were talking about World War II, and he was like, yeah, well, World War II started in 1939. I was like, how does he know the starting and ending dates of World War II? He's just super into it because he plays these video games. But there's a problem. And the problem is that his only exposure to Germany and German people is by playing video games about World War II. And this is a problem because someday he's going to meet German people. And I think it's really important that he knows that that was just one phase of German history and has not continued to this day. And I try, but I'm not sure how to handle that the best possible way as a parent. It's tough. Yeah. Did not see this coming when I had kids. Anyway. Yeah, well, that would be the best thing to do would be to introduce him to actual German people. I don't actually know any Germans, but yeah. He's actually played Among Us with us. He's met Ghost Branch. So, anyway. Go on holiday to Germany. Yeah, maybe when we're allowed to leave the country again. It is a little bit of a problem in Western media. Well, American media for sure. It's the exact same reason that I cringed a little bit when people started saying, and it was all in good fun, and I think everybody had I don't think anybody had their feelings hurt, but I cringed a little bit when we were playing Among Us and someone said, "Oh, the Germans are they're sus." I'm like, well, could we maybe not play into that stereotype? Ghost Branch is a very nice person. Although he is a lying, sneaky bastard when he plays Among Us. But that's not because he's German. It's just because of who he is as a person. Aber, I believe you that you're an MD. I believe you. I believe you. Yes. Oh, there's his, yeah, no, there's his ID. Okay, he is an MD. Ghost Branch, you can link to that video if you want. Guys, we're getting close to the end of the stream. But don't go because in about... I usually take a short break at the end of the stream at 3 o'clock, and then I come back. Ciati and Ghost Branch. Ciati, are we on? Are we on, Ciati? Ciati's in the chat. He's going to confirm that we're on. We're going to be playing Velocidrone Combat, my Discord server versus Ciati's server. Ghost Branch is going to be streaming. Ghost Branch, let me get the link to your stream. I am not going to be streaming this. Ciati's going to be streaming it, and Ghost Branch is going to be streaming it. So you can watch one or both of those streams. I am not going to be streaming it. So if you want to watch, you got to go watch Ciati or Ghost Branch's stream. I've done enough streaming today. I would love to have you guys watch their stream. So at about... Oh, here it is. Here's Ghost Branch being a sneaky SOB. Playing Among Us. There's Ciati's stream right there. And Ghost Branch, give me your stream as well, dude. If you can just pop that in chat so I don't have to go looking for it. Aber the Ham, I'm not actually... I'm fine. I believe that you're an MD. But ever since that a day at the range scenario, I'm more cautious about who I vouch for on the internet. Not that I ever vouched for him, but maybe I could have been more explicitly distant from him. And so now Aber the Ham comes out of nowhere and says, "Hey, I'm a doctor and I can talk to you about lead exposure." And I'm like, "Are you? Are you?" Ghost Branch, where's that link, buddy? Give me that link, please. I got the link to your... No, the link to your live stream, please. I have been to Germany. People are saying, take your son to Germany. I've been to Germany. I went... where did I stay? We went through there on a road trip. A business road trip, unfortunately. Irish Toft, thank you for a $5 super chat and the excuse to plug my website. But I'm going to pass on that right this second. We're just getting ready to close up the stream. There's Ghost Branch posting a link to his stream. Okay, so we're going to close up this stream. I'll see you guys back here at 8 p.m. tomorrow for my Monday night live stream. Remember, no live stream next Sunday. Ciati might stream in this time slot or whatever, but I'm going to go take a quick break, and then I will be back. You can watch on Ghost Branch and Ciati's stream. We're going to play some Velocidrone Combat. We'll see who shows up. All right, guys? That is going to do it for this stream, though. See you guys in a few minutes. Happy flying, everybody.